about an exploit. I believe that it's based on a mechanic that needs to be tweaked by the devs. This game is in pre-release. So I'm going to show you an exploit that involves the passenger trains. This is currently in hard mode. In hard mode, when a train comes to a dead end, it's going to go into reverse. It does not flip-flop like it does in easy mode. So the trains have to continually go in loops. As seen here by this example, I've got three cities with trains. This was my first city money run here. And you can see that when they arrive, they're dropping off 90 people. And the houses are outputting roughly 5-10 money tokens. Now this exploit I'm about to show you can only be done in endgame. It has to be done in the last age. You have to be able to create the depot with its extension. So for this example, I'm going to pick this city here, Dover, which has a whopping 8 people. And as you can see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses there. And we're going to tie it into Oxford here, which is a little more sizable. So for this, we need stations at both ends, of course. So let's go ahead and get a station there. Let's go ahead and upgrade it. We're going to do all the typical passenger only type upgrades. We're going to add the waiting room. We're going to add the restaurant. We could add the signal box. Well, let's go ahead and add the signal box. Since we added the signal box, let's extend it to its max length. That's going to acquire some people while we're heading down to Dover. Now at Dover, let's go ahead and create the station. Let's do the upgrades for it. So as you can see, I could have gotten that other house there if I wanted to do it right, but it's not that relevant because this exploit is really going to knock your socks off. So now that we've got that, we need to connect them. Where's that other one at? There it is. Okay, now of course we need to get a train on there. So we need our depot, and it has to be upgraded. So in order to get this exploit working, you pretty much need a surplus of all your tokens. You don't need the coal token as much, but it doesn't hurt. So for this one, I'm going to pick oh, what the hell, let's go with the GS2. Now, the way this exploit works is you make the train as long as the gap. And in this case, that's roughly 120. So let's make this train 120. We need to haul people, so let's go with a couple dining cars. 1, 2, 3 should do. Now, let's look at the train. The train's currently 5 in length. See that right there, that yellow number? We want to get that to roughly 120. We want it to be like 121 point something. Now, dining cars add a plus 25% to income. If you also look, dining cars take 35 wood and 5 steel. So, like I said, this isn't an early game thing. This is more of an end game thing. So I wouldn't really consider it a game breaker because you're pretty much done with the game at this point. Okay, now that we've got our train at the approximate length, let's give it a start. It's going to stop here. It's going to fill up with its 48 people and going to go to the next station. Now, since I didn't do a loop, when it gets to the other station, it is going to reverse back down to this station. It's not going to flip around and have the engine on the southern part of the train. The engine's always going to be on the northern part of the train. It's just going to go slowly in reverse. Now, what we're looking for is once the train is all the way out, we don't want it hanging off the end of the station. We want it to be in this very last chunk of station here. So I'm going to go up to here, and as soon as the train gets to the end, I'm going to stop it, and we'll go double check. Okay, so there it is. And we are one train too short, so I'm going to tell it to go back to the depot. We need to take that one train off. I believe the dining car is 1.28, just like the first class car in length. The dining car doesn't have a length on it, so, or a weight. So once it gets in there and we remove that one train, or that one car, we'll get this exploit going full bore, and you can see just how changing it is. Now if you look, the coverage of this station isn't but 4 houses. Ah, stop. Reverse. Okay, so now that it's in the station, let's take a car off. And let's get it going. Get it back on its track. It's got the 48 people on it. Now, did you notice how much money it just made when it dropped off those 48 people? So once it gets past this end piece, I'm going to bulldoze this track and make sure it stays on the station. And that way it can't automatically return to the depot. It's got no order, so it's just going to stop at the next station, unload, fill up, unload, and then head back. Okay. Now, if you look, it's fully on that last station. So, the front is right at the end on this station, too. Now, this is how the exploit works. It's going to hit the end of that station. It's going to unload its people. It's going to fill up with however many people are at that station. Whether it's 1 or whatever the train max was 48. It's then going to reverse until the tail hits the end of this station, which is less than a square. And let's watch. Watch how much money this thing gets. Each of these houses are getting a lot. And look how frequently. We're getting, let's go backwards and see if we can count. We got 888, that's 3 digits. 749's 3 digits. 104 is another 3 digits. So we're getting 7 billion money tokens per house. Look at that, 7 billion. Now, the other station is at 0 people, so now it's only generating however many people are at that station. Let's close this and go look at the other station, and you'll see what I'm talking about. 0 people, 1 person, 1 person. 2 people, 3 people, 7 people. 7 billion, 14 billion, 7 billion, 7 billion. See how much the train is moving? Just barely. It's moving so little that it needs to do lots of trips before it even has to pay its measly 3 coal upkeep for movement. The town isn't even producing people fast enough for it to fill up at some points. Oh, there we have two upkeep on the train finally. I think that getting 50 plus billion for 2 coal is well worth it. Like I said, this isn't a game breaker in the early game. It's not going to help you defeat the game. It's just something the devs need to tweak. You know, I'm dropping off 3 people and making over 21. Well, there we go. We had 14 billion, 7 and 7, another 14 billion. 14 times 3 is what? 42? So I'm making almost $1 trillion just in the time I've been talking to you guys about this. Because keep in mind, that's happening at both ends. Look at those numbers. So, devs, if you're watching this, which I'm going to try and get a copy of it to you, definitely need some tweaking done here. Those are pitiful towns. They shouldn't be generating me more than 5 gold. 5 money tokens. I'm going to save this. And let's call this exploit. Now let me show you some other ways this exploit can be used. Let's load small map. This small map is a small map, a 128 by 128. It is currently in the year June of 2499, so it's been roughly 3 days of me going to work and just leaving it running, as you can tell by the amount of houses we have everywhere. If we come down here, this is a no, that's not it. This here was my first train setup from Dunfermline to Hull. As you can see, we've got the, let's speed things up. We've got the traditional trains. They're just the length of the train station. Let's take a look at it. It's got one dining car, 3 first-class passenger cars, and 1, what's it called, Pullman or something like that. Yeah, 1 Pullman or a coach car. just enough to fit on the track. 7.85 in length. And as you can see, as this one goes back and forth, even with these humongous cities, it's hauling 66 people, we're getting roughly 16 money tokens. The bigger two square houses, we're getting double the output. That's a traditional one. Now, some ways that what I was showing you can be exploited. If we look here, you can see the train I've got here. Stokes is hauling people. So this is essentially what I just showed you. It's doing the same thing, and if you look here, I'm making $250,000 per. This train is much smaller, probably has more passenger cars on it than dining cars. I built the road so as the population increases, it forces the houses into the coverage of the station. Now, some ways this can be exploited. Let me find it. Here I have a train car, and it's just bouncing in and out of the coal station, dropping off at a foundry, and I've also got an iron car over here. This one is actually set to wait until it's full. So pretty much the iron is going straight from the mine straight into the car, into the train. As soon as it's full, it's going to dump it off. So if we look, this train holds 780, which is essentially half of what the foundry can hold. Now the coal is set on just bouncing back and forth. It's not being told to wait on a full load. So that's why the coal at this foundry is full. I'm going to tell this to ignore the next signal, and let's send it one ahead on the orders. Oh, let's just wait on it to get full. So when it gets full, it's going to dump everything here, and then we're going to be outputting steel to this one here. And if you look, this is a steel car, again, from one end of the track all the way to the other. And if you look, it is so short there. So this one, pretty much as soon as it fills up, the engine flops to the other end, and it is done. It is unloading. The disadvantage to trains extending past the station is anything past the station takes twice as long to load. But we're loading it as fast as the foundry is going to be producing it. The foundry has all the maximum, that's the station. The foundry has all the extensions added. So as soon as it gets some iron, it's going to just start spitting out steel and coal tokens. We're almost full. Another thing that I would like for the devs to do is, let's look at the orders here. It actually is told full load, the coal one. What I would like to see, that if they're told to unload, that they sit at the station until they are actually empty. right now what happens is they unload as much as they can, and then they go back on their merry way. Oh, we're about to fill up with the iron. When it does, you'll see the engine appear right here, and then we'll start seeing a lot of activity from the foundry spitting out its steel over there. There we go. And then as soon as train 43 gets full, it's just going to flip-flop and unload real rapidly as well. And we can watch it unload, and now it's loading again. So it's almost as if I am sending it straight from the steel into the toolworks. Now we've got all that steel sitting in the toolworks being turned into money, into tokens, and done. So there's definitely ways to exploit this. Okay, so down here, I've got, I believe, lumber. So I've got trains coming in with logs. I've got a sawmill here. As fast as it's spitting out, this train's just said, take it and go, take it and go. You can see it's filling up maybe 3 cars. It's getting a whopping 5 before it flips around. So this lumber is pretty much being spit right into that train, and less than half a second later, it's being turned into lumber tokens. You can see the train just flip-flopping right there. Now if this was hard mode, it would just be backing up and going forward, backing up. Another thing that's confusing is if you look at this post here, that would indicate to me that if I drop off a mail, I'm going to get a mail and 2 money. So I'm dropping off a mail. In my mind, I should have another mail instantly ready to be sent back out. So if I drop off 50 mail, I should have 100 to be returned, which is kind of exploity to me. If it sounds to me like it could be very exploited. So I don't quite understand what this means here. Oh, I see. It's creating a mail and returning a mail into 2 coins. Never mind. I guess if I'd looked at it in the first place, I'd have figured it out. One thing that is really nice with the newer patch is if we look at the station here, we can actually tell it not to accept something. So on this side, I've got all my raw materials coming in, my iron and my coal. And on this side, I've got my steel output going there. I don't have to worry about checking off those because I'm not delivering anything to it. Another thing I noticed is this miscellaneous crap appearing in places. I've got a coal, 2 lumber, and apparently at one point a log at my passenger station. How the hell did those get there? I guess some homeless guy drug it over in his shopping cart or something and decided to drop it off there. Another thing I want to point out is city growth. Let me find it. The city growth is interesting to say the least. I believe it's probably the other map. Let me load a different map. I believe it is this one, 2222. And I think that map may cause my game to crash. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was wrong. It's the 101 map. And my game is occasionally not responding, so it might be crashing. These are big maps, lots of stuff on them. I do believe that that one crashed my game. So let's close the game out and reopen it. We'll give it a moment to load the map or crash the game again. We'll see which happens. If it crashes the game again, we'll just call it, and there we go. It loaded up. This is a rather well-developed game. If you look at the year, it's 3046. So this one was left a few days while I was at work, running on its own. I tried going into the build mode, and now it looks like it may be locking up. However, my stream shows that it went into the build mode. That is very weird. My stream appears to be ahead of my actual computer. Wow, that is just creepy. My stream shows it in the build mode, but my game still shows in the realistic mode and not responding. Okay, let's give this one more try. We're gonna close it out and start her up again. game load. Hopefully we don't crash. I've had lots of problems once the maps get pretty developed of them crashing the game instead of loading. I don't think it's on my end because I've done lots of virus scans and spyware and adware scans, and yes, I do update my definitions. I'm not a noob. I was in the industry for a while. Okay, so I'm not even going to try and go into the other mode because I should be able to show what I wanted to. Okay, so the development of towns is somewhat interesting. Right here, let's take a look at Plymouth. Plymouth's of 511. We can see this town here, it looks real big, right? But if we zoom down, it's London, and it's only 11. Which means that as Plymouth expanded, it wrapped itself around London. It also expanded all the way west into Norwich here. So it's kind of interesting how the towns want to expand out. Let's take a look at Luton here. 390. And if you look, see how it's expanded way out down here? Down to around that lake there? Looking at that, that's more of a quarry, I guess. But it expanded southwesterly and gotten so far away from the station itself. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, see here, we've got a station right there. This is the only station in the area. Near Colchester. Look at Colchester, 250. Cumberland, 20. Look at that. See how it expanded southwesterly there? So the tool works is near Cumberland, but the houses around it are Colchester. So let's just there we go. Build mode worked. If we build a station here, it says it's near Lincoln. Where's Lincoln? There's Lincoln way over there. If we build it here, near Durham, where's Durham? Right down there. If we build one here, near Colchester. And I suspect that if we build one over here, it's going to say near Cumberland. Whoops. See, look at Armagh here. It's got 464, and look at, I built the roads because obviously if you look here, the houses will really only spawn next to a road. If you don't build the roads yourself, they end up doing stuff like this and building them for you out in bizarre ways. See, this is, most of this are the roads I built. There are some strays that the computer built, like this chunk here. They tied all this stuff together, too. And on this one, it built this piece of road right here. I was hoping a house would spawn in there. But that's it for this video, folks. The exploit on how to gain massive money, how to almost instantaneously send resources to the manufacturing plants, or how to send the finished product to the tool sheds to turn them into tokens almost instantly. Again, most of those exploits require lots of resources to do. You need long trains. And other than that, have a good day.